Welcome in Chiefs Kingdom to Chiefs Latest, your one-stop spot for everything Kansas City Chiefs in 15 minutes or less. It is your host, Calvin Silvers. Happy Wednesday. Hope everyone is having a good week so far. We have a lot to tackle, no pun intended, but we have a lot to tackle in this episode, including two potential options that the Chiefs could look at for the safety position. But before we dive into anything, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and make sure you turn on those notifications, as it not only helps me in the channel, but it's going to help you stay up to date with everything Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I mentioned two potential options that the Chiefs could look at for the safety position. We're going to start with a trade. That's right, it'd be a trade with the Rams for Cameron Curl. Now, the thing with Cameron Curl would be that he would offer some cheap depth for the Chiefs in the secondary, and that's important because we know that the Chiefs have about $12 million in that cap space to work with some big extensions and long-term deals that they have to figure out here soon, even on the defensive side. But I don't think even if he does provide that cheap depth for you that he would necessarily be the best option for the Chiefs. Now, Curl did have 79 tackles in 2024, has that $4.75 million cap hit. Like I mentioned, that's budget friendly. Yet he's more reliable in a pass rush and a just overall run defense. And I'm not sure that he's going to be as reliable in coverage, especially in a division, in a conference like the AFC and the AFC West that is going to be pass heavy. Now, his box safety skills, they do fit Spag schemes, but he does have that nagging knee injury that we saw last year. Again, those weak coverage stats, with those two things combined, is that going to limit his upside? Is that going to limit what we could see potentially out of Cameron Curl? Now, a 6th-round pick, yes, that is reasonable, but I think Veach should prioritize elite production and elite coverage skills over Curl's stopgap role that he would bring next season, or this upcoming season, excuse me. And I think, too, that Chiefs Kingdom, we deserve a bigger splash, especially if we have to replace someone like Justin Reed. I don't think we need a low-ceiling rental like Curl. Now, why does this matter? I just mentioned you lost Reed, you lost Snead 2 years ago. So, yes, your secondary has become exposed more and more the past 2 seasons, and you even allowed over 4,000 passing yards, both regular season and postseason combined. So you can't have below coverage stats against a, like I said, quarterback landscape across the entire AFC. And then when you look at the Rams, they have depth. They have Kitchens. They have McCullough. So they could easily put Curl up there on the trading block for a late pick. Now, the thing is, with Curl, you did see that dip last season, but he's not too far removed from his most solo tackles in his career. He had his most solo tackles back in 2023, but yet you did see a big drop-off last season. 79 combined, 49 solo, 1 forced fumble, 0 interceptions. Again, when you look at his pass coverage, 55.6% completion rate allowed, 14.8 yards per completion, and 112.4 passer rating against. Just not very impressive. Career 464 tackles, 3 interceptions, and 6 sacks. His cap hit $4.75 million the final year of his contract. Now, that safety rotation, I think he would back up Hicks and Cook, and maybe could outshine, an aging Mike Edwards, but would he even challenge for a starting spot there? Again, trade cost, a 6th or 7th round pick, fits the Rams' need to clear cap. And then again, they can prioritize the safeties that they already have on their roster. And again, I don't think enough people, while it wasn't holding him out too much, I think his knee injury is something that needs to be looked at. And I think when you play with Spags and play with the Chiefs' physical defense, you need almost full health to contribute. But yeah, his physicality, though, you could argue does help against AFC West run games. But again, I just think his coverage is going to really hinder in a pass-heavy conference. So $4.75 million cap hit, 79 tackles, make him a decent depth option. His coverage skills, though, recent injury scare, I just don't think that makes him as reliable as Spags would want, or maybe even Chiefs Kingdom would want, especially after losing someone like Justin Reed. I mentioned there's another possible safety addition for the Chiefs. Let's jump right into it. Could the Chiefs sign free agent, Justin Simmons? Now, I think this is more of a no-brainer than bringing in Cameron Curl. You're bringing in an all-pro safety to replace Justin Reed. Yes, he's 31, but this could work long-term. You can get a couple, 2 to 4 years out of this. He has a handful of career picks against Mahomes as well. I mean, he's just proving that he's an elite ball hawk for Spags defense. Again, 31 years old, I get that, but $8 to $10 million probably average per year. That fits the Chiefs' $11.5 to $12 million cap space if structured smartly. Though, again, his age does risk a short shelf life, but I think you could at least get, 2 to 4 years out of this deal. And not only that, he'd mentor Hicks and Cook, leaving you in good hands further down the road if you could keep one or even two of those guys. AFC West edge, as he's played in the AFC West a lot, 70 career pass breakups. The Falcons released him after his stint with them, avoiding trade cost. I think, too, would be a better coverage player than what you would get with Curl. Now, looking at Simmons, 2 interceptions last season, tackles 71 combined, 49 solo, 1 forced fumble, all at 2024, 32 interceptions, 70 pass breakups in his career. When you look at the roster impact, having him start alongside Hicks or Cook would just be, I think, a great combo, a great hand-in-hand per se. You could work out a 2-year deal, I believe, with this one. And again, that mentorship, that veteran presence that Simmons has, it's going to guide the young safeties that the Chiefs have. And I think that's critical for after someone like Justin Reed exited. So those ball hawk skills, as he's shown against Mahomes, his better coverage skills, I think that makes him more of a must sign and a must get over what Cameron Curl would bring despite the money. And again, his $8 to $10 million average per year would fit the $11.5 to $12 million that the Chiefs have if, Brett Veach can structure it wisely, which we all believe that he can. But there's someone else that might want Simmons, and we need to talk about it because they have been making some big splashes lately. And now the question is, are the Steelers a threat to Kansas City? I just don't think so. I get the additions. You add Rodgers, you add Ramsey, you even add people like Woods, and then you have long-term veterans like Hayward on your team. They're all big names. And this would have been cool, 3-4 years ago, but they're all over 30. They're all past their primes. I think this makes it less threatening than, like I said, this team would have been 2, 3, 4 years ago. Jalen Ramsey as well has 0 interceptions against Mahomes, who, in fact, is 4-0 against Tomlin's Steelers, showing that Pittsburgh struggles to contain KC's offense. The Steelers, they haven't won a playoff game either since 2016. So what are they talking about being a threat to the Chiefs? We're all predicting the Chiefs to maybe make the Super Bowl again, if at worst, probably the AFC Championship. This team needs to figure out how to get a playoff win before they even talk about challenging the Chiefs. Now, if the Chiefs sign Simmons too, it's a better move, I believe, because he could be a mentor, and the Chiefs have some depth there, some youngins, just in case, Simmons would go down. Where if you add him to Pittsburgh, he's only adding on to the age there. Again, Rodgers, Ramsey, Metcalf, Darius Slay, yes, aims to end, that playoff drought that we talked about, but their age and Mahomes' dominance, I just don't see how they're going to take over the Chiefs here in the AFC. And not only that, they got their own problems to worry about in the AFC North. Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. Why are you even focused on KC right now? Focused on those two. Again, when going back to Simmons, both teams want him, but he fits KC's younger secondary better, and I think that outweighs what Pittsburgh would do with their aging defense. Mahomes 4-0 against Tomlin, and with the healthy wide receiver room and with the speed that they have against the older guys, that's going to exploit Pittsburgh secondary, even with someone like Ramsey. If you look at the Steelers last season, lost to the Ravens in the wild card, no playoff win since 2016. Now, their defense was good, top 10 in EPA per play, showcasing that they are a very efficient defense. The Steelers have always been a good defense. They also tallied 49 sacks with TJ Watt having 11.5, but their offense was the main issue. Bottom half in the league in scoring, 22.4 points per game, 44.3 success rate for Rodgers as well, which was 24th among quarterbacks. And when Mahomes go against the Steelers and Mike Tomlin, 17 touchdowns, 1 interception, 17.8 points per game average margin of victory. So again, I'm not really worried about all the old guys. Rodgers, 41, Ramsey, 30, Woods, 33, Hayward, 36. Not really worried about that, especially when the core of the Chiefs, Mahomes, McDuffie, Rice, they're all young. And then adding Simmons is only going to add on to the age, where I think if you add Simmons to the Chiefs, Hicks and Cook are going to benefit more from his mentorship. And again, the Steelers need offense. They were 1-6 when scoring 17 or fewer points. They need offensive power. They keep doing all this defensive moves, which is great, but I don't think Rodgers is what he was even a few years ago. So these additions, what they already had, too old to really scare the Chiefs, especially when Mahomes is 4-0 over Tomlin. Ramsey, 0 picks against Mahomes. Not really worried about that. With the speed of a healthy wide receiver room, that's going to expose that secondary. Pittsburgh, worried about trying to win a playoff game before worrying about taking down the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, we talk about all these moves, all these trades that the Chiefs could do. I think there's really 4 decisions that come down to finances here for the Chiefs. Let's quickly go over them because they do have a tight cap space and that forces tough calls. And I've talked about some of these players already, but there's tough calls that need to be made on Joshua Williams, Sky Moore, Robert Tonyan, and I even mentioned potentially training Wanye Morris on another episode. Williams and Moore's poor production, lack of special teams impact, that make them easy cuts despite their draft pedigree. Now, Tanyan's $2.5 million price tag, that can even just save a little bit more space, especially when you already have promising tight ends and a promising tight end room already in the works. We really need Veach to trim these veterans to fund stars like Simmons or younger stars for not only a shot at a Super Bowl this season, but a continued run in the AFC to even be better than what the Pats dynasty was. But then again, you have limited cap space. It's hard to, have this contained and repeated success, especially in the AFC, especially going against continuously quarterbacks like Lamar and Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. I could go on and on. So you need to cut non-essential players for key extensions, which the Chiefs are going to have to deal with anyways. And you have newcomers, Noel Williams, Jalen Royals. They outshine people like Moore and Williams and Camp. The young guys are outdoing the older guys. Why wouldn't you keep the young guys? That's a cost-effective upside. Like I said, player performance, Joshua Williams, minimal defensive snaps, limited special team contribution, failed to really grab that, fourth role at the cornerback. Sky Moore underperformed as a receiver, minimal special teams impact, and he's being outshined by Jalen Royals right now. And you brought in Wiley as potential tight end. You could bring in a Cole Kmet, Kyle Pitts. I've talked about those being potential as well in previous episodes. So I don't really see the need to keep Tonyan as well. Joshua Williams, no guaranteed money. Cut saves full base salary. Sky Moore, no guaranteed money. Cut saves full base salary. Again, Tonyan, $2.5 million base salary projected. No guaranteed money. You need to make some moves here if you're Brett Veach to make some room. Again, Joshua Williams, as I just mentioned, the secondary, cutting him, open spots for Noel Williams, even a Najee Johnson. Dropping more prioritizes Royals and potentially Thornton or Remigio. Some cheaper options there for higher upside for Mahomes' targets. So Brett Veach will do his thing, but I think those are effectively 4 decisions that come down to finances and if you can keep these 4 around. But that was Wednesday's episode here at Cheifs Latest. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you haven't already, because like I said, daily videos Monday through Friday. And go ahead and go to the comments right now and let me know what you think about adding either safety options. Do you think that the Steelers are a threat to the Chiefs in the AFC? And is there any other moves that the Chiefs can make to free up some cap space? Let me know. Once again, I'm your host, Calvin Silvers. Daily videos here at Cheifs Latest, Monday through Friday. Hit that subscribe button. And until next time, have a good one.